Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Rajiv S. Khanna from immigration.com, the law offices of Rajiv S. Khanna PC. This is our bi-weekly, every other Thursday community conference call where we try to answer your questions. Note that this does not create an attorney-client relationship. This is merely a community service. You should keep the specifics of your case confidential because it is being recorded and will be shared with the public at large. And this is not a substitute for a one-on-one consultation. Keep your questions short, please. Okay, let me just make sure that everybody can hear me okay. So 1 second.
The conference is now in conversation mode.
Could you all hear me okay, guys? Can you all hear me all right? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so
The conference is now in presentation mode.
I'll first go over, I think only there's a couple of questions I have marked as frequently asked questions. I'll invite follow-up questions after every question I answer. And please don't bring in new questions at that time. And time permitting, I will answer new questions. Okay. So the frequently asked question that I have marked as one that I want to answer is handling H1B visa and layoff. What happens if I get laid off before or after stamping my visa in India? That's a pertinent question. This can happen. So you are on H1B, you left to go to India, and there could be two possibilities. You got laid off before you got the visa stamp done or after you got the visa stamp done. I think the before situation is a little bit clearer because I don't think you should go for visa stamping if you have been laid off. Or if you do go, you should make it clear to the consulate that you have been laid off. However, under the law, you have a 60-day grace period in which you intend to apply for another job. I don't think it's going to work like that. I don't remember the details of the regulation off the top of my head, but I think there might be some restriction against travel. Now, I had a situation today. I did a consultation today where somebody got laid off before they could return. Their visa was stamped, but they got laid off effective April 1st, but they are coming back within a day or two. So what advice did I give them? So they have the visa stamp, then they got laid off. I said, this is what you do. I can't predict the outcome of what's going to happen. But to protect you, this is what you should do. First of all, when you land at the airport in USA, make sure you answer all questions truthfully. Do not try to conceal or decorate your facts. If the CBP officer asks you, is your job still available? And you can say, yes, it is available for another 3 days or 4 days or 5 days. But after that, I've got a grace period of 60 days to apply. And here is a copy of my notice of termination. Would they let you in? I would say that's about as much of a 50-50 as I can ever see. On one hand, you have this situation where your H1B job is going away. On the other, it hasn't gone away today. And you do have 60-day grace period to apply for an H1B transfer or another status. So in those cases, should they let you in? I do not know. Would they let you in? I do not know. There is no stated policy on this. But I also know that they have about 12 seconds to talk to you at the airport. So I'm not sure this will even come up. Is there a mechanism through which they know that you've been laid off? Really, no. I can't think of any such mechanism. Okay. One last thing that I want you to be very clear about is this. So what if they say we're not going to let you come in? At that point, almost every reasonable officer should tell you, look, you have two choices. I can either formally deny you entry. In that case, you cannot come back for 5 years. Or you can withdraw your application for admission, which is basically request to enter the US. I think you should withdraw. I think that's okay. You'll have to fly back to India. But staying in India, you could still be looking for other jobs. And if you find a job, you could travel on the same H1B visa after the H1B approval for the new job. So this is important to remember, okay? Now let me see what the specific questions are. I got my H1B visa approval recently. I've got my stamping date in May. Company's going through a bad phase, 2 layoffs. I might get laid off. If I go to India for stamping and get laid off, can I come back to USA? So I already addressed this issue. I go to India for stamping and get laid off after getting my visa stamp. I already addressed this issue. If I get laid off while in India but have an offer letter from another company, offer letter is not good enough. Just get the H1B approval. Then I don't think there's a problem traveling with the H1B visa you already have and a new H1B approval. Anybody has a follow-up question on what I just talked about, press *5 on your telephone. No new questions, any follow-up question on what I just talked about. Press *5. Okay, it looks like we are good. I think there was another here's another frequently asked question. What is the quickest path for the prospective fiancé of a U.S. citizen living in India? Well, there is no such thing as a quick path. I have discussed this several times, and I think it should be in our frequently asked questions. You should take a look at those. For those of you who are just joining, I'm just discussing the frequently asked questions as I always do. My sister is in India and the prospective groom is a U.S. citizen. They have concerns about how to proceed. Current fiancé visa time seems to be 15 months. If they get married in India first, what is the quickest way to come? Well, look, they can try things like tourist visa and all as temporary matters, but this is very tricky because if for example, your sister is coming to the US to actually get married, getting married is allowed on tourist visa, but changing to green card within USA is not allowed. So that can get problematic. And if you enter at the airport, what do you tell the Customs and Border Protection? Why are you coming? Are you coming to get married? If you are and you tell a lie, that can be potentially a permanent bar from entering the United States. Okay. She has a valid B1. Can she travel on that US post-marriage for 5 to 6 months only? Yeah. As long as she tells the truth. If the CBP asks, why are you coming? If you are coming to hang out with your husband, you have to tell them that. Of course, as here in the question that was presented to me, if she's trying to get an L1B visa and she gets it, that's perfect. That's the quickest path. L1, H1, those are the quickest paths. I also had another consultation today where I recommended that if you are going to get a student visa, which they were, to come to the United States, make no plans to get married. Let her go to school for 6 months, 1 semester, and then you can discuss and decide what you want to do. Because I believe that if you enter with a preconceived intent to get married, even after 1 semester, it could become questionable issue. Okay, I hope that answers your questions. Press *5 if you have a follow-up question on what I just discussed. Press *5. Okay, let's go on to, I think there were only 2 frequently asked questions, if I remember correctly. Let me double check. Oh no, there is another one. AC21 adjustment of status portability. Pending AOS I-140, pending AOS I-140 withdrawn before 180 days. So this is a situation currently working with employer B. Employer A's I-140 was approved in 2013 under EB2. Employer A provided 485J in August, applied 485. Employer A say we couldn't find a project, we are withdrawing the I-140. At the time of the I-140 withdrawal, I-485 was at 150 days. Now that 180 days have elapsed, can I provide 485J? So this is, Rajat, this is a difficult issue for me to give you complete answer on. I can tell you what you should do, but can I give you an accurate answer? Doubtful. So let's keep going. Will USCIS approve porting or deny as I-140 approved in 2013 was recently withdrawn before 485 reaches 180 days? Is there any way to appeal the withdrawal of the I-140? No. Are there any laws or safeguards? Okay, so this is what I would argue if I were you. I would argue that the language of AC21, the law that protects you after 180 days, says that you are protected if I-140 is approved, which it was, and 485 remains pending for 180 days. Okay. So if USCIS acts on the I-140 after 180 days, I would argue I'm already protected, and I would take it to court if necessary. Why? Because the language of the law seems to be pretty plain, and this law was meant to protect people. Protective laws are usually interpreted by the courts to the benefit of the people it is supposed to protect. Okay, so that's what I would do. Would it work? I don't know. I think it will. Are there any laws to safeguard the beneficiary when dealing with abusive and mean desi consulting companies? Yeah, you could have you can talk to employment lawyers, and you might have a case against them for harassment sort of situation. I don't know. I'm not an employment lawyer anymore. I can only advise about immigration law. But there might be some possibility. You can talk to them. But under immigration law, I don't see what you can do unless they try to misuse the system. Okay. Oh, here is another frequently asked question. I thought there were only 2. I guess there were 4. So, oh, by the way, before I go further, if you have a follow-up question on what I just talked about, please press *5. Any follow-up questions? Press *5. Okay. So next frequently asked question is, what to do if one is in India during the PERM and the I-140 approval process? Nothing. You're fine. That's perfectly okay. There's no law that says you have to be in the United States when your I-140 or your PERM is decided. The question is, I'm on H1B with employer A, currently in PERM. Recruitment done. I'm in India right now, and I would like to know what happens if, number 1, PERM approved and I-140 filed while I'm in India. No problem. Number 2, receive PERM audit while I'm in India. No problem. Number 3, I-140 approved, and post I-140 approval, I'm still in India. No problem. Yeah, I can't think of anything that you need to do in relation to your move back to the United States. But this is a kind of a situation where you should discuss your long-term plans with your lawyers, because there are some ifs and buts. If you decide to stay in India for 2 years or 3 years, how does that work out? That should be discussed with your lawyers. *5 if you have a follow-up question on this. Press *5 if you have a follow-up question. Okay, there is one. Let me go back to that question. I had moved on from there. Okay, here we go. So this question comes from New York. Let's see. New York, go ahead, please. I can hear you.
Hi, Rajiv. You folks can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you fine, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking up the question. So, what happens if my PERM is denied after the audit? Am I supposed to return in that case?
No. See, the PERM does not force you to return or to stay away. The PERM itself is meaningless in that respect. So no, you don't have to return.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And then there is no need to apply for advance parole in this case?
You cannot apply
to
for
enter
it.
back into the States?
No. You are quite mistaken about advance parole. First of all, advance parole is only available if your I-140 is approved, PERM is approved, I-140 is approved, and 485 is filed. You are not at that stage. Okay.
Oh, okay.
What you need to return is an
Okay.
H1B visa.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need an H1B visa to come back. Or L1. Whatever,
Okay.
whatever
Thank you.
it is. Okay, good luck. Okay, so nobody has a follow-up question. Now let's go to all the other posted questions. In about 15 minutes, I will close the conference and then I'll try to answer all the questions of remaining people. Let's see, what is our first question? We have a little bit more, a few questions more than I like, 3 or 4 questions more than I like, but that's okay. We'll take care of it. So one question is transferring a cap exempt H1B visa, cap exempt, from one employer to another. I'm on cap exempt with employer A. In 2021, employer B filed my cap subject H1. That got approved, but I didn't join. After that, I found a part-time concurrent H1 job with employer C. So what you are telling me seems to me that you are cap exempt because your cap subject H1B was approved, even if you didn't join them. Assuming that that employer did not revoke your H1B before its start date, October 1st, typically, you should not be subject to the cap. Okay. So that's actually all your questions are focused on that one answer. So in my view, it looks like from what you've described, you should not be subject to the cap. Let your lawyers take a look at your documents in detail, but it looks to me like you're fine. Star 5, if you have a follow-up question, press star 5. Okay. Next question. Oh, there is a follow-up question. Looks like New Jersey, right? Yeah, it is New Jersey. New Jersey, go ahead. I can hear you.
Thank you, Rajiv. So this is my question. So I got this cap subject H1 approved. I'm trying to use the cap subject H1 approved to convert into a part-time H1 in parallel with my existing cap exempt H1. Can that be done?
Yes, absolutely. I don't see any problem with that. Okay.
Is there anything related to I-94 with that new H1?
I don't see any problem with it. When you got your cap subject H1B approval, did you get an I-94 or not?
Yes, I've got an I-94 number on the H1 approval.
Okay, then you are fine. I don't see any problem with it. But like I said, let your lawyers look at the documents in detail, but it looks to me like you're good to go. Okay?
Okay. Just in case if I have to go, so if my lawyer says if I have to go to cap again, would that affect anything?
If your lawyer says you have to go through the cap again, you set up a consultation with me. I'll review your documents. Okay?
Okay.
I think that would be an incorrect conclusion. Yeah. All right. Good luck. Okay. Then next question is eligibility for L1 visa after resigning from Indian subsidiary of a US company. So the way it works is it's a little bit more complicated than that, the calculation of when you must have been employed by the company abroad. But the answer is if you have been employed by the Indian company 1 year out of the last 3, counting back from the date you apply for the L1, you are eligible. So 1 year out of the last 3. However, this gets extended considerably if you come into USA and continue to work for the same group of companies, let's say on H1B, and then you want to apply for an L1, then the timings are different. I'm not covering that. That's a different set of circumstances. So you worked for an Indian company for 5 years, resigned in May 2022. Can the US company sponsor me? Sure. Because 2022 is just last year. So definitely within the last 3 years, right? So no problem. Go for it. Star 5 if you have a follow-up question. Press star 5 if you have a follow-up question. Okay. Will the I-94 be automatically updated upon returning to the US after renewing my passport in the US? Okay, so I'm not an expert in how the CBP updates and what their internal processes are. All I know is this is perfectly fine. So when you come to the United States, you have the old visa on the old passport and you have the new passport without the visa. You show them both and they give you an I-94 online electronically. That's good enough. You're all set. Yeah. So your question is, I have my H1B I-797 until August 2023. When I traveled to India last year, I returned. I was given an I-94 with April 7th date. Yeah, you are entitled to approval of the I-94 to the same date as your approval notice for the H1B. So yeah, they should update it. And they should do it. Actually, if you go to Texas to the Eagle Pass Bridge, call them before you go. They have like $10 charge. They might do it without even crossing over to Mexico. We've sent a lot of people there. There might be other places where you can get the I-94 without crossing over. You can check. Okay, so that is certainly one way to do it. *5 if you have a follow-up question. Press *5 on your phone. Okay, so far so good. Next question. Repercussions of criminal misdemeanor conviction for driving without valid U.S. license on H1B status. I had my Indian license, rented the car, but they said, no, that's not legitimate. So you signed a plea agreement and a criminal misdemeanor. So look, there are a lot of complicated issues when it comes to criminal charges, but typically misdemeanors without actual sentence imposition are not really a problem. Okay. So what you should do, this is what I advise all of you, if you ever have a criminal problem, look at the state in which you were convicted and then talk to a deportation lawyer in the state where you were convicted. I mean, we can review many things, but we can't comment about the state law. Okay, and because there are state law issues, I would rather have you talk with a lawyer, a one-stop shop where you can get all your answers. A lawyer who does deportation defense or removal defense in the state in which you were convicted. Okay, you should not affect your, I don't see, it doesn't look like a big deal to me, but I would rather be safe than sorry. Okay, so please double check as I suggested. *5, if you have a follow-up question, press *5. Don't lose sleep over it. I think you're going to be fine, but don't let it slide either. Okay, next question. Green card and I-485 approved. Green card and I-485 approved. But the I-485J is still awaiting approval. Don't worry about it. You're fine. Yeah. If they approved your green card after you filed the 485J, but the 485J was never decided, I won't worry about it. Can I find out from the employer, from the USCIS, whether they approved for employer A or B? Why do you care? Why do you care? You're all set. Worked for employer B for 12 months. Can I leave them and start my own business now? Absolutely. Why not? Definitely. I don't see any problem with it. Look, if you want to be even more sure, talk to your lawyers, have a conversation with them. Guys, let me lock the conference. I think we have another 8 minutes to go. Then I'll lock the conference. The reason I lock the conference is because I want to make sure that people who are here, their questions are attended to. Okay. Because if people keep coming in at the last moment, then it becomes a little unwieldy and it's not fair on the people who are already here. Okay. So yeah, I would do a consultation with my lawyers just to make sure that there are no issues. But I don't see any problem here. You could start your own business. Okay. *5 if you have a follow-up question. *5. Next question is employer filing for H1B visa while employed on OPT and STEM extension with intention to complete MS degree course in the US. Okay, so just make sure that, see, one of the problems, and I have a problem with this process. When you apply for the lottery, as I remember, you have to tell the system whether you are applying in the master's degree quota or bachelor's degree quota. Government has said, USCIS has said, if you mark it as master's degree quota and your master's is not yet finished, no problem. But your master's should be finished by the time you apply for the H1B. And if it is still not finished, we're going to reject your application. So they won't drop you back to bachelor's. They'll just reject your application, which I think is ridiculous, but it is what it is. You are pursuing your second master, so you have 2 masters. I don't think it should be a problem. If my H1B is selected and approved, what should my steps be? File your H1B. Will there be an issue since my course could not be completed by spring 2024? I don't know what your bachelor's degrees are and what job you're applying for. As long as you're qualified for the job, an H1B can be applied. So let's say I have a bachelor's degree in computer engineering from India, and I'm doing a master's degree in computer science here in the United States. Can I apply for an H1B as a computer professional? Absolutely, because I have a bachelor's degree from India. What if I haven't finished my master's degree? But the tricky problem is if they have marked you as a master's degree entry into lottery and you haven't finished your degree by the time you apply, then it becomes problematic. Okay. *5, if you have a follow-up question, press *5. So this one is, let's see, from Michigan. Okay, Michigan, I can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Rajiv. So my question was actually that I'm pursuing my CPT in my second master's, and my employer has filed my H1B. So that was the question, since I might not be able to finish my second master's before spring 2024.
Okay, so let me understand. Let me understand the intention of your question. You're asking me, if I get CPT and then I'm not able to finish that degree, would that be a problem in my life? I don't think so.
No, I already have a CPT.
So,
I'm working on it.
So you haven't heard me.
It ends on September.
Let me try again. Is your question that the fact that I have CPT and I don't finish that course, could that become a problem for me? Is that your question?
Yeah.
The answer is I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because you're concerned, government could say, well, you use this course as an excuse. Well, hey, the law allows me to do it. I didn't do anything illegal. So personally, I don't think it's a problem. If you try to lie about it, it could become a problem. As long as you are truthful, I don't see any issue. Okay.
So will there be an issue, like, will I need to go to India to change my status?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Look, if you go to immigration.com and look at my blog history, a couple of blogs I wrote, blog entries I wrote about 2 years ago, they expressed concern that government is questioning CPTs. They tried to question some of our CPTs, and when we tried to change status, they said, well, it doesn't look like your guy is maintaining status. I said, why? Hey, CPT is a perfectly valid reason to stay in the United States and go to school and work. This is legal. You can't stop me. And if you try to stop me, I'll go to court over this. So we've never had a problem, as far as I remember, with CPTs being able to change status. Over the next 2 years, government has backed off that situation. So I think you'll be fine. Okay?
One last question. I'm on 1099 on my CPT, like as a non-contract employer, non-employer contract. So will that be an issue?
I don't know the answer to that question. Talk to your DSO. It could be a problem. I know that as a part of the CPT, your employer has to sign an agreement, a kind of a cooperative agreement with the school that says they are going to employ you only in your major and nothing else. And, they have to sign that letter. Sometimes it's a 20-page agreement, depending upon which university you are with. So I don't know if that agreement calls for a 1099 or a W-2. Now here I'm making a guess. Talk to your DSO. I guess 1099 should be okay, but double check with your DSO. Okay? Now, what if 1099 is not okay? Then just go get a visa stamp. That's fine. Okay? And you can go to any country, not just India, for visa stamping. You could go to Costa Rica, Jamaica, Bahamas, Canada, Mexico, any country where you can get a date. Okay?
Sure.
Good luck.
Thank you.
You are very welcome. Okay, so I'm going to now lock the conference.
The conference is now locked.
Okay, excellent. So everybody who's here, I'll be able to answer their questions. Okay. Next question was a frequently asked question. We dealt with it already. So then question after that from Rutu, who says, answering the question on professional, social, or charitable organization on Form DS 160 as an H1B visa holder volunteering for a nonprofit. So volunteering is never an issue as long as you don't get paid in cash or in kind or any other benefits. I don't see any problem with volunteering. Okay. Vice president for a religious nonprofit, I think that's perfectly okay. Have you belonged to contribute work for any professional, social, or charitable? Have you belonged to? Sure. You have contributed to? If you have given money, sure. So I would answer the question, yes. I don't know the exact question. So bear with me because I'm only answering what you're telling me based upon what you're telling me. I can't help you fill forms. But the intention of the question seems to squarely address your situation. And I don't think it should be a problem. You have been a member of an organization. You belong to it. That's what they're asking you. Okay. *5. If you have a follow-up question on this, press *5. Okay. Visa stamping issues due to payroll company making sense of different employer names and EINs. I saw that. This question was quite confusing. There is a legal entity name that is different. Then there is a support services, this and that. Okay, so this is the way I analyze these situations. First of all, under H1B, the most important thing is who controls you, who has the right to control you. So let's say we have an organization, let's say IBM, and IBM has a payroll company who takes care of all their payroll. So the checks come from the payroll company, but IBM, you report to IBM, IBM supervisors control you. For H1B purposes, your employer is IBM, even though you have a professional employer as a company that pays your checks. I don't see any problem. Government knows about these arrangements. In the beginning, they were a big problem. We used to have big fights with the government. But professional employment companies, whatever they call them, PE something, professional employer companies are no longer a problem. Okay. So the W-2 is issued in this name. Yeah, you may have to payroll company for out-of-state employees. Yeah. So can I go for stamping to India? Sure. Will it be a problem? As long as you have an explanation for it. I don't see any problem. A job title on LCA is Senior Microsoft CRM Developer. Internal company title is Senior Software Developer. Duties never change. So these minor title adjustments I think are okay, but you should talk to your lawyers. I haven't seen the rest of your case. In principle, none of this looks like a problem. *5 if you have a question. *5 if you have a question. Okay. Next question was a frequently asked question. We skipped that. QUE111 says, can I start my own business on H1B? The answer is not as an active partner, but if you do nothing at all, think about buying stock in the market. If you buy IBM stock, you don't get to run the company in the same way if you are connected with a company. I think that should be okay, but that's my guess. Okay. *5 if you have a follow-up question. By the way, on immigration.com, our website, we have a lot of frequently asked questions on this. I've discussed this many times. Okay, no questions. Let's go on to the next question. Difference between Chart A and Chart B on Visa Bulletin. Okay, so this is quite confusing, but here is what you need to do. You start with the Visa Bulletin. Okay. Look at the dates. Visa Bulletin contains final action dates or dates for final action, right? So those are one sets of dates. Then they have a link to the USCIS page where you can see if you are inside the United States, even though dates for final action are not current, can you still file your 485? And that's called dates for filing. Okay. So dates for filing are decided by the USCIS every month, whether that month, actually the following month. So like in March, around March 15th, we get the visa bulletin for April. So in March, you know what you can do in April. Okay. So the USCIS website, that page will tell you whether you should use for 485 filing the final action dates from visa bulletin or the dates for filing from the USCIS charts. Okay. *5 if you have a follow-up question. *5. Okay. Next question was a frequently asked question. Covered it. Frequently asked question again. Covered it. So options for starting and operating a social enterprise on H4 without an EAD, as long as you don't get paid in cash or in kind, I think you can do it. So now here is the exact scenario. Which of the scenarios can be executed from the below options? Social enterprise, empowering artisans to sell handcrafted products by sharing their tales with the world, importing handcrafted goods made by local artisans and selling them, that's illegal because you've gotten involved with selling and all that. Can't do it in India. This is a very long question. Look, I'm not gonna, this is just too many things. You may want to set up a consultation with us. Bottom line is, if you are getting paid in cash or in kind, you shouldn't do it. Can you sit in India, USA and operate a company in India to do the same thing? I don't think so. I have no definitive data to back it up either way. Any workaround, don't do it. And if you do it in a way that involves you to obtain no benefit, any profit, or any imputation of profit in India or USA. That's the way I see it. Okay, so those were all the questions I had today. Anyone has any question, press *5, please. Let's see how many questions we have today. Okay, only one. Wow, that's easy. Anyone has any question, press *5. 2. Once again, any questions, press *5, and I'll unmute you in the order that you logged in. Okay, this one is from New York. Let's see. Area code 917. Let me get to that. Okay, area code 917. I can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Rajiv. This is a follow-up question on the FAQ that you have taken, which was around what to do if one is in India while PERM and I-140 is in the process.
Sure. Go ahead.
So let's say if I travel to US after 7 months and someone at the port of entry questions my stay in India for that long or bars me from entry, how can I deal with that scenario? Should I just hand over a printout copy of the regulation 8CFR 214.2 or what should I do in that case?
When you have been gone from the United States for a long time, the question remains, or the question becomes primarily, do you still have a job? Okay. So if you have a job, you should carry evidence that the job is still open and available, the H1B job. And if you have been doing it remotely, carry evidence of the continued pay stubs. Okay. So those two things I would recommend, because what your absence calls into question whether there is continuity in your H1B. Otherwise, you have no problem. Okay.
But if I have all the documents, but port of entry guy still questions why did I stay in India for 7, 8, 9 months, then
Okay.
is it safe to
Yes.
comment on the
Yes.
regulation or no?
Yes, because I don't know which regulation you're referring to. That's a very generic regulation citation. But there is
Intermittent H1B.
intermittent H1B, exactly. That is exactly what it is. Yes, you can show them the regulation. Say, look, if I choose to come only for 10 days, I can do that. As long as I can show the availability of the job, that's all you need to worry about. And here is a phone number. You can call my company also. Okay, be polite.
Awesome.
Don't get in their face. Be polite. But I think you're entitled to enter. No question in my mind about that. Okay?
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good luck. Let's go to area code 973, which is New Jersey. Okay. New Jersey, go ahead. I can hear you.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good.
So my situation is like, it's about a downgrade situation. So we sent out EB2 to EB3 downgrade, the concurrent filing back in November 2020. And because of my company, right, so we had to withdraw that application and we sent the withdrawal in February 2021, like 3 months later,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
But USCIS, because of backlog, they never acknowledged that withdrawal. They sent out the EAD combo card, right?
Okay.
But last year in September, they acknowledged and they said your I-140 is withdrawn, so your I-485 and EAD are not valid anymore. If you want to send evidence to continue, you do it within 30 days, right? That's how they sent the notice. But my bad, I thought the dates would stay. Right, my dates were current, basically in EB2 as well. But I never sent them anything. Right, I thought the date will continue to be current.
Right.
But in October, the date went back. Right. So now it's going so bad. I'm trying to see if I can do anything at all to get at least my EAD. So the question is, can I reach out to USCIS now saying that my EB2 was current all along when this happened? Is there any way to port my 485 from the I-140, which was withdrawn, to the EB2 I-140, which is active? Is it possible?
No. The essence of your question is simply this. Can I withdraw a withdrawal? And the answer is no. Once the withdrawal has been granted, it cannot be withdrawn. Okay? But you can always file a new request for, I don't know if you're doing downgrade, upgrade, whichever category is current. You can always file a new I-140 or, again, I don't know exactly what your situation is. So what do your lawyers recommend? What do
my lawyer said you can try, but it's not guaranteed that USCIS will even
No, I guarantee it. I guarantee it. You will not be able to withdraw. You cannot withdraw a withdrawal. This is settled law. Nothing mysterious about it.
Okay, but I don't want to withdraw my I-140, but I want to utilize that I-485 because I-485 they denied based on the I-140 withdrawal, right?
Yeah, but
what I am trying to do is,
hang on.
Can I
Hang on. The moment the I-140 that is attached to the 485 vanishes, the 485 goes away with it.
Yeah.
Okay. You could have saved it.
Okay, so
Hang on. Let me
Sorry,
finish.
go
I
ahead.
want to make a point for you. So while the I-140 was still alive, you had not yet withdrawn it. If you made a request that please interfile my 485 and other I-140, and then later on you withdrew the I-140 that was attached to the 485 earlier, that is no problem. But once that I-140 is extinguished, that 485 is gone. It has no life left anymore. Got it?
Okay. Okay, sir. But I have a quick question, if it's okay. But I want to give opportunity to others as well. But very quick one. Is it
absolutely.
Okay?
Go ahead.
Okay. So So I'm planning to I'm trying the route of Canada now. So my H1 is valid till 2025. So my wife is on H4, right? How long my wife can legally stay within US? I have a 5-year-old. So I'm trying to keep them here as long as they can stay legally. Is there a duration specified in any regulation?
No. There is no regulation that says that you can stay here 35 days or 45 days. The bottom line is, and there is a regulation that says you can't stay back, or there is a policy statement, I don't remember which, but it doesn't say how long.
Okay.
I would say maybe 15, 20 days, this is just my guess, should be okay. But if you try to stay here longer, I think that's a violation of her status. And by the way, if you are going to if you are going to Canada, see if you can look into the possibility of an L1A EB1C based green card. If you work for a company that has branches in both countries, USA and Canada, your green card would be very quick under that. Okay. Look into L1A.
Yeah, that's the reason I'm trying that option.
Good move.
So I'm planning to go to Canada, but I just wanted to,
Good move. But one thing I would want you to do, this is very important. If your lawyers are experienced, please have them review the proposed job descriptions in Canada, and then when you come back to USA, so that there are no surprises. Because you could end up spending 1 year and have a defective job description. You won't get your L1A or your green card. Okay? So get the job descriptions approved.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good luck. Okay, looks like we have one more question.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. From Michigan. Okay. Michigan, go ahead. I can hear you. Michigan.
Hi. I had a follow-up question regarding the CPT to H1B. So, my F1 visa is now expired since I finished my first master's, and it expired in 2020. 2021, and I got my I-20 as well, and I maintained my status. So the question is that if my H1B gets approved, it will kick in in October. So if I withdraw from my degree course, then I would be out of status. So when should I be withdrawing from?
I don't like that idea, because see, this is a very weird situation. Why? Because you already have your status, but it's kicking in on October 1st. Okay? The government has no way to know that you've knocked out your earlier status. Okay? But can this become an issue for any other change of status? It could. If the government said, well, you failed to maintain your status all the way up to October 1st, it could become a problem. As a practical matter, they will approve the H1B effective October 1st. As a theoretical matter, you should at least maintain your status all the way to October 1st. Okay?
Okay, so I should be withdrawing around end of September.
Yes.
From my degree program.
Yes.
If I intend to.
Yes.
Okay.
Good luck.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, always a pleasure to hang out with you. I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Good luck, and thank you for being here. Bye-bye.